Welcome to the French Wedding Podcast with your host Naïm, the only podcast in English about weddings in France. Great conversations, tips and insights about your French wedding, some wisdom before your big day, and the opportunity to hear wedding professionals actually living and working in France, only for your day to be the most amazing to remember.
Hello everyone and welcome to the French Wedding Podcast. Greetings from France. This is the place where we're recording this show. I'm Naïm, professional ceremony officiant based in my hometown, Paris, and I created this show especially for future brides and grooms willing to get married in Paris or anywhere in France. Each episode is an occasion to meet a main actor of the industry, can be a vendor such as a wedding planner, hair and makeup artists, bridal salon, videographer, venue owner, bloggers, you name it. This show exists to bring you some insight about how people do things in France regarding the wedding industry, but we also share funny stories, things to know, and special memories when we happen to work together on the very same wedding. Today on the show, we have an American photographer based in Paris for 7 years now. Her work has been featured in major publications such as Vogue, Elle, and Cosmopolitan. When I talked to her about the show, she instantly jumped in and proposed me to record the episode in an amazing Parisian spot that I didn't know, and we started from there. So without further delay, let's hear Krystal Kenney on the French Wedding Podcast. Krystal, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming and thanks for showing me this beautiful place. We're currently in the north of Paris, in the Rue Blanche, for those who know. And Krystal invited me to this beautiful place, so I just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome. Help you to discover Paris a little bit.
So you're an American in Paris.
Yes.
This is just like the movie. I know what it is. Why? Because I've been a French in America, so I know what it is to be the opposite. Where are you from exactly, and can you tell us a little bit more about your background and everything?
Sure, yeah. I grew up in a small town in Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C., along the Chesapeake Bay. For those of you who know Maryland, sailing, the water was a huge part of my life.
Nice.
Very small town.
How did you end up in Paris? I guess it's a long story. You can make it short or you can make it long. We have all the time in the world.
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you the summary that I give every one of my clients during our photo shoots, which is basically I'd come here on vacation, just like many of our listeners. I just fell in love with the city. I felt like this was home. This is where I needed to be. And why was I not already living there? I felt more connected to Paris than I ever did suburban Maryland. So I went on vacation here for the first time when I was 14 years old. One of the first places I visited was Montmartre, and
Montmartre. The trap.
Became obsessed. Yeah, I was like, this is my other home. And so I went home, and of course I couldn't just move at the age of 14, but I definitely thought about living abroad once I was old enough to do it. So then at 26, I packed my bags and said, I'll just go live over there for a year. It probably won't work out, but, it'll just be fun. I have nothing tying me down, no mortgage, no house,
Right.
no kids, nothing. So I moved here for a year, and then
At this time how old were you?
26 years old.
26 years
Yeah,
old.
it was
Right.
the first time living alone, living abroad. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know the culture and didn't even speak French.
No French at all.
Yeah, I was
Oh
on
my
the
God.
plane just saying, bonjour, je m'appelle Krystal. Okay, I'm fine, no problem.
That's enough to survive in the streets of Paris for
I
probably
speak
10 minutes.
French perfectly, which was really stupid looking back. But at the time, I just thought, I'll figure it out. You just got to get the ball rolling. So I got here and I hated it.
Okay.
I had a really tough time the first 6 months.
What did you hate at it?
It just was not what I expected at all. It's a totally different experience living here versus vacationing here. Because when you vacation, it's always just, you're like at the edge of being into it. You're just having fun. You're seeing the best of it. Everything's an adventure. And then when you try to move here, it's more about figuring out paperwork, finding a home, learning a language, making new friends. It's much more work. Yeah, and heavy on the paperwork.
Yeah,
I just want to reiterate that.
French administration is probably like the most hectic thing that you can find in my country, sadly. As an American, it was easy to come and work here in France. You had no problem?
No, it was not easy at all. Because as we talked about earlier, French are not, at that moment, weren't super open to the entrepreneurship, in my opinion, and it was kind of a newer idea. Like, why would you think you can come here and make money on your own? You should work for a company. And so I had to prove basically that I was capable, that I was good at my job, that I could get customers and not be a drain on the system, basically.
Yeah, that's the main worry of the French system, sadly. You were already a versed photograph at this time.
Yes, I was. I'd been working in Washington, D.C. for 5 years shooting weddings before I decided to come shoot weddings in France.
And what is your academic background apart from photography?
Sure. So
this is not a job interview.
Yeah. Are you going to hire me?
We already hired. You're part of the industry.
Exactly. I've been. No, I have a degree in public relations and marketing, actually, which is perfect to go with what I'm doing, because many artists love what they do, but they don't actually have the business aspects. So.
I agree with that. Yeah, 100%. I think it's very important to maintain like all the relations, like going through the first connection with your clients. How do you usually contact with the clients? First of all, they reach you by email, or? Yeah,
normally clients find me through social media, so I get a lot through Instagram, through my website, and then many come from word of mouth. So I have other clients, they pass your name around. Also, I work with many people in the industry here. We all kind of help each other, like the wedding officiants will recommend me to their person, or some venues I work with, they recommend me to clients. So it's a great network here.
Nice. And you started then from scratch, from nothing. You built your own website, you built your own network and everything, and it just kept the ball rolling.
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, when you first start to become a photographer, you think, I'm just going to take pictures. It's so much more than that. You have to be a web designer. You have to be an accountant. You have to be an editor. You have to be a networker. You have to be a secretary. There's a lot of parts of the job.
I think being an American is a very good thing in this aspect, because you guys have the reputation of being like all around players at everything, like entrepreneurs. People have 2 or 3 jobs. They're like getting trained and skilled to everything. This is a good thing to be.
Yeah, it's very true. You usually have 4 jobs before you have your one job you want,
That's great. I think it's good.
It takes time to build that.
And how would you describe your style? This is a question that I often ask, but can you help us with that?
Sure. Well, the main thing I do with my clients is I establish a connection early on. I always like to have a phone call from the very beginning to get to know their personality, to actually chat, to see if we connect. And I really am good at making clients feel like longtime friends.
Oh, yeah.
I like to make people feel comfortable. I ask them lots of questions. So for me, my photography is kind of like hanging out with an old friend. We're laughing, we're having fun, and that's how I get my natural shots, because it can be a little awkward. Many people have never been in front of the camera like that before, and then you're asking them just to be natural. Okay, well, what does that mean? You're standing here with a camera in my face. So many people, when you put a camera on their face, they automatically turn into a deer in headlights, is this expression we like to use, because they're just uncomfortable. So awkward, So I like to make people forget the camera is there. We're talking, we're laughing, we're having fun. I know a little bit about them, so we have things to talk about. I want them to forget I even exist.
Right.
In a way.
You like to be like more on the side and not direct too much, just like other photograph can do.
Yes. I give them cues. Like I'll tell them, okay, tell her why you love her. Tell her the first time you saw her what you thought. Tell like a secret.
Okay.
And then that usually gets like a natural reaction out of them. And
that's really beautiful. I like this kind of cues. I never heard it before. Do you do this like on the day without telling them, or you're like planning, like, guys, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that?
I tell them on the day, because you get more of a natural response that way, and I don't want them thinking too hard, or the woman saying, okay, what's he gonna tell me? Like that ruins the whole thing, really. You have to do it like spur of the moment.
You are working in Paris or in France, or where is your
I work
location?
All over France. I still go back to the States to shoot weddings as well. Actually, in April, I'm flying to Mexico to shoot a wedding in Tulum. I still go back to DC to shoot weddings. Anywhere people want me, I travel, but mainly I'm in France now because I live here. And so it's really nice because there's so many great venues in Paris, but also you can literally rent a chateau on Airbnb, because France, like I have a lot of clients who will rent like a little chateau in Normandy and do like a 3-day party, which those are my favorite weddings.
It's funny that you say that, because many of the vendors that I'm working with are actually more French than me in that way. They are like highlighting all the great chateau, all the great culture that we have. We're very proud, but sometimes we have a tendency as French people to forget it. I think it's good to have another American or just like different point of view to remind us how beautiful the country is and how many opportunities there is to celebrate your wedding in a great way.
Exactly.
Destination weddings in France is all about this culture of discovery, of great wine, great cheese, great food, great venue, and I think you're describing it properly. I really like it.
No, this is a great place to get married, especially for Americans, because it's a different culture, it's a different experience. Like, especially for Americans, the dinner part. Usually, dinner in America at a wedding is like 1 hour. You eat, you get up, you dance, you go home.
Mm-hmm.
France, you're gonna be sitting at that table for several hours. You're gonna have multiple courses. You're not gonna be rushed out of there. Like, that's something for my clients that's always kind of a surprise. They're like, when is dessert coming? It's like, no, you have to conversate for like 4 hours.
That's like, I mean, this is amazing. Like, I used to live in one of my other lives. I lived in California for a time, and as a French person, I was always stunned at the speed and the length of the service in the restaurants. I have a French background, so I thought it was a bit rude.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the waiter is putting the bill, and I didn't even ask for it. Like what does he want? He want us to leave? Like,
he does want you to leave because he makes more money.
Exactly. but like, this is when you realize, I think traveling is very enlightening and very good for everyone, because you realize that you're just a product of your culture.
Exactly.
And it's not that he's rude, like you said. He's just here to make money, and just like. But we as French people, we're like, oh my God, this is like almost a ceremony. We're gonna spend some time. The way that we're serving you, we want you to be happy. We want you this and that. And this is specific for French people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and
that's
American people. You're not the first to say that. That's why I'm like always having fun talking about that. As we're very different, but it's good to have American people or foreigners to come and visit and discover the very long dinner party we have.
And for Americans especially, I don't think they're used to talking for that long. They're like, let's get to the dancing and the drinking, you know. That's something I really like about French people, is you can chat, you know. You'll talk about everything, world politics to everything, you know.
This is not something American people do.
Not really.
No?
It depends on the group. I mean, of course, everyone's different, but we're all about not offending each other. So normally you stay away from politics a lot of times, just so you don't, it turns into a heated debate, but you guys like debate. That's like your whole culture.
That's true. Yeah, it's funny. We like debating. Nobody's gonna be very offended. It's just like, just a way of living things and debating. Nobody agrees with anyone. My country is sometimes crazy, as every country can be. But I think we have this special thing that keeps American people sometimes in a weird situation.
Yeah, we think that you're like done with each other, like you're breaking up families, but really it's just a conversation. But if I talk like that to my uncle, we wouldn't be talking ever again. Yeah, I know. But then 5 minutes later, everything's fine. So
everybody's opening a bottle of wine.
Culture shock for us. We're like, what is going on?
Coming back to you, I was looking at your beautiful website, and I saw that you're working with a team. You have a planner, you also have a cake person, somebody's on the decor. What I realized is that they're all sharing a very nice common point. They're all women. Is it something that happened by coincidence, or is it a choice that you do? Or
that very much happened by coincidence. I talked about this a little bit earlier with you. Is I feel like one of the big things for me when I came to Paris is I met my kind of female friends, like women who move here. They're very entrepreneurial, they're very open, they're adventurous, they're smart. Like, it's not easy to move to Paris. It's very challenging for anybody, and I feel like especially women who are doing this on their own, they're like powerful, strong women, so you kind of connect with them, and it just through networks. Exactly, like it's not like I'm anti-man or anything like that. It just kind of happened that way, and I made some like great friends, and we all share work, and they're all it's a team of American women, basically.
All of them. I've seen that your decor girl was from New York. Like, or she worked in New York?
Yeah. She worked in New York, but she lived in Texas most of her life. And then Jolene, my makeup artist, she is Franco-American.
Okay.
But she grew up mostly in America. And then Michelle, my planner, she is, I hope I don't mess this up. I want to say,
you would be forgiven.
I want to say Pennsylvania, but I could be wrong. Sorry, Michelle.
Well, Michelle, if you hear us, you can gladly come to the podcast and correct
please
your
do.
mistakes. No problem.
Yeah, no, there's just so many great women here that I've made great connections with, and we just help each other. That's something I will say about working here in the wedding business is I feel like people just help each other, and maybe that wouldn't be the same in America because you're all American, but because we're all Americans who moved to France and had difficulties and we understand what it's like, even if we have nothing else in common besides that, we share that commonality of making the move here and learning.
I agree with that. I've been an expat in my life, and I couldn't agree more. As long as you're out of your country, you've never been so much of your country. Like exactly. I was the French guy in LA, I was the French guy in Spain, I was the French guy in Ireland as well. I always loved my country, but you love your country and also the way you are born and raised much more when you're out of it. This is what I realized. I don't know if that makes sense. But
that makes a lot of sense. And for me, when I go back, it's actually kind of reverse culture shock. Like I like France more now for certain reasons, like especially when I go to restaurants like we were talking about, when the waitress keeps asking me how I am and is so happy and nice and bringing me things. I'm like, go away, like, just leave me be. Like I'm used to being like just left alone, you know. It's kind of like when you stay here too long, you start to adapt and want more of what you're doing.
I know. I always had trouble in the subway with people when I was living in Paris. I was always like, oh my God, like I'm always angry and everything. And this is when you go out actually that you realize that people most of the time in the subway are really anxious and stressed, and but this is something that goes when you're just taking them out of the crowd, you know. It's just something
goes away.
Very strange, but we're working on it.
I mean, no country is perfect, and you just pick and choose what you want from where you are. It's kind of what you can do.
I wanted to ask you something about your team and especially the vendors that you're networking with. So when people are reaching out to you, I am asking you this because sometimes brides do this to me, and they're asking me, oh, you're an officiant, but do you know a photographer? Do you know a makeup artist? Well, of course, I know people, and I always recommend them. Does this happen to you sometimes?
Oh, yeah, all the time. Usually, especially with hair and makeup, it's like hand in hand with photography. A lot of times when they pick a venue, it already comes with the officiant or the caterer or whatever. But usually for photography and hair and makeup, they're more flexible. Yeah, so I usually recommend my group of ladies.
People.
Yeah,
nice.
my people, and they do the same for me. You know, we just share work.
How many weddings did you do? Do you have a number in mind? Because you've been in business since...
Oh my goodness, how many since I started? Oh gosh, I've started back in 2008.
2008, right.
So...
We're in 2020, guys.
Wow.
For those listening to this in 2030 or 40.
Yeah, this is 2020. Yeah. That would be really hard to say. I honestly don't know. I've been to so many.
Probably a big number.
It's a big number for sure. I can't even give a number because it's been, and that's the thing that I really kind of like about it too, is
the flexibility.
The flexibility and seeing how everyone does their wedding different. And I'm actually getting married in September, and it's been a big help to me for planning my own wedding.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, I've been to so many and I see what works and what doesn't work. And for me, my favorite weddings have been the really small ones where there's 40 to 60 people. They stay in one venue, like a chateau or whatever, and have like a 3-day party. Like they'll have a barbecue the day before, they'll have the wedding in the garden, and then they'll have like a picnic hangover the next day or whatever. That is actually what has inspired my wedding, because I just see people come from so far. You don't get to spend any time with them. You just say hi and bye when you have like 200 people, and you miss your whole day. You don't even get to eat. I'm like, I want something small and intimate, and that's the great part of my job, is getting to know weddings so well.
That's nice. So when was your wedding? It was last September?
It's going to be next September.
Oh, it's going to be.
It's coming. It's coming.
So you're like Since now you're in business for that many years, you have so much experience. What would you say to the brides when it comes to the planning? If they don't want to do it with a wedding planner or without, like how long before the wedding would you recommend them to get in touch with all the vendors and all the venue and everything? What would you say?
Well, first off, I highly recommend getting a planner. You think you can do things yourself, but honestly, you just made your life really hard if you don't get a planner. And it's worth, I know there can be expensive, but it's so worth the money, honestly, because you don't want to be telling people what to do in your day. You want things to flow. And someone who's never worked in the event business won't really know that. But I can tell you from being to hundreds of weddings, you need a planner. But if for some reason you can't or you don't want to or something like that, definitely start planning a year in advance.
A year, yeah.
People book up, photographers book up, officiants book up, caterers, cakes.
Yeah.
You need to ask them well in advance. That way you can get your preferred vendors.
What would you say, like, as an American person, what are the main differences that people experience between America and France when you're organizing your wedding or your event? Is there something that is really different between the two countries?
I would say...
This is a question for the bride.
Yeah, this is a question for the brides, but just like we talked about, especially with food in France, they're going to take much more care into the catering. They're going to give you more options. It's going to take longer. There's going to be probably multiple, entrees, things to eat, and just expect that they're going to care more about that.
Right.
And not that food is terrible in America, but it's very important in this country. So take the time to really appreciate that and enjoy that, because definitely that's going to be a thing. And also expect things to run late. Most French weddings in general, they run late. That's normal. But in France...
Do you mean, sorry to interrupt, do you mean on the day or
on the day? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I expect the wedding the hour's not going to be exactly right, because even in America it was like that, but less. I feel like in France it's more relaxed. It's not so uptight about how things are going to be perfectly out. I mean, this is not a country known for being like perfectly timely.
True.
I know as Americans we're very about the hour. 5 minutes late is 5 minutes too late.
Right.
Here it's not, you're not pressed for time as much, and it's more of a relaxed point of view when it comes to time.
Right. Is it one of the reasons you decided to establish here in France, like taking more time and enjoying and like...
I would think to say that, but honestly, because I'm an entrepreneur, I bring that strong, like nonstop go mentality with me as an American. So even I would like to enjoy the fruits of life and chill. That doesn't happen because I'm a businesswoman, especially an American businesswoman, and I know strongly, like whenever I'm not doing something, it feels like I'm wasting my time. So that's something I'm learning to do.
I've been through this. And I'm going through this most of the time. I don't think it's a bad thing, but this is how we are as business people, entrepreneur in the wedding industry, and it never stops. I realize in Paris that there's a lot of weddings and a lot of people willing to elope. So there's a lot to do.
There's a lot to do, and it's all. But I'm learning in my 30s now that I'm in my 30s that resting is just as important as working hard. Because I was spending my first couple of years sick half the time because you run yourself into the ground. And as the bride, remember that too. You're not planning this day to make yourself sick or irritated. You're planning it to enjoy and share. And it's really important you take a step back and relax.
Absolutely, yeah. Is there a special moment that you are remembering right now without even thinking about it? Like a special moment in your career, a special highlight, a special compliment that somebody gave you? Is there something that comes back into your mind?
The thing that really comes to me is I feel like as a woman, like with many of my brides, I really connect because I know what they're looking for as a woman photographer shooting a woman, like the details, the hair, the bra strap, things that, nothing against like my male counterparts, but I'm like, I don't want my bra strap hanging out of my dress, and this is something that I find that they might be more focused on the light or the highlights or whatever. And me, I'm like, okay, if I am this woman standing right now in this dress, like what is most important to me? How does my hair look? Is my eyelash just falling off or whatever? So I think over the years, the thing I've connected most with is just like kind of that female mentality of just helping each other.
Right.
And that's what I really love about my job is it's not, I love the creative aspect, but I also love connecting with people.
Right.
And I feel like I'm helping and I'm giving them something, and that's the most rewarding part of my job always, is just giving people something they can treasure and connecting with my clients on another level. And some of them have become friends. Like I have a client, she's invited to my wedding. We became very good friends, so that does happen. So I think that as far as special moments, there wouldn't be one. It's just that special connection that you make with people that you would normally never meet.
Obviously, I cannot say that this is wrong because you're making me feel really comfortable here, and I think it's a great thing, especially when you're dealing with people, to have this like bubbly personality and easygoing for the first contact, and also for the long term. When you have a bride, it's not only for one day, because usually you can work with them many times and everything. So I think it's really good. Do you have any plans for your business, for yourself, in the years to come that you want to share?
Sure, yeah. So I'm planning to expand. My fiance is shooting video now. So we're going to be like a team shooting video and photography together for doing weddings. And we're really focusing on Italy and France because he's Italian and we live in Paris.
Nice.
So we would really like to just focus on weddings for internationals coming. So that's why it's perfect that I'm talking to you, because we really love working with people from all backgrounds, of course, but because of my American background, I really enjoy working with Americans as well, planning destination weddings. I'm also working on a book right now that should be out next fall that is all about, it's basically a memoir of my life in Paris and how running a business here, being a female entrepreneur here, my life, what has happened in the past 7 years that I've been here. So that will be some sharing as well of like the wedding industry and things like that.
Is it going to be a audio book or like digital book, or?
It will be like an actual like hard copy book that you can also
old school
order digitally if you'd like, but that's the plan, is to kind of share my story here.
Very interesting. And your joint business with your fiance do you have already a website going up, or is it something that's planned?
Yeah, we're putting together a new website right now. We're just kind of joint on my website, but we will have a new website out very soon.
Perfect. So we will share all this information in the show notes for you guys to check it out. Do you have something that you want to offer to our guests, to our audience, that they can go through?
Yeah, sure. Do you mean as far as like my social media, or just as far as tips, or
anything? Like if you want us to share your promotion on our website and the show notes, they can go to your website, the missparisphoto.com.
Yeah.
And they can contact you and say, I heard you in the French Wedding Podcast. Now help me.
No, of course. That's the best way to contact me, is through my website or through Instagram as Miss Paris Photo as well. And as far as telling people who are planning weddings here, just expect things to go wrong. Honestly, like just relax. It's not going to go totally terrible. It's not going to be like ruined, but expect things to not go perfectly.
Right.
And when you go in there going in with that expectation that, maybe the cake was late, or maybe the flower wasn't exactly that, just, you're not going to be upset, because the most important thing about a wedding is the people that you bring with you, and that you found someone you want to spend your life with. So just focus on that, and then everything else will just be wonderful for you. It's going to be a beautiful day. France has the best, in my opinion, what it has to offer as far as weddings go. Beautiful venues, beautiful catering. I mean, everything here is just like, it's like art almost. So you're going to have a great time either way if you have your wedding in France. So just go with the flow and expect some cultural differences and enjoy.
Go with the flow and enjoy. I think we're going to wrap up on this. Thank you so much, Krystal, for being part of the French Wedding Podcast. And I'm sure that we will hear from you again very soon.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Hey guys, thanks again for listening to the show today. You can find more information on our guests in the show notes, as well as my contact and my website. If you have any questions regarding your French wedding, I'm happy to help. Also, please do not hesitate to leave a review for the show. There's also a link for that. That will literally take 1 minute of your precious time and will mean the world to me. I always appreciate your support. Thank you again very much for your time and feedback. Wishing you a great day or a great night anywhere you are in the world. I send you some good vibrations, and we'll talk to you again soon for a new episode. Bye bye.